Hello, hello. I'm Strider, your host here at Author in the Headlights, and we are at the Chanticleer Authors Convention in Bellingham, Washington. And I grabbed a guy out of the hallway. And how you doing, Tim?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Tim Facciola. So, what brings you to Chanticleer?
So luckily was selected as a finalist in the fantasy category for the Ozma Awards. So fingers crossed. A few hours we'll hear, but no, just a great opportunity to get to meet other authors who are, on the journey and taking it seriously. People who value what they do, the creation of the creativity and the business side of it. I think that is it's a rare combination, and there's people who take it seriously, and that it's places like this you find those people.
Absolutely, and I love that the people that are willing to not only put themselves out there, they put their name on something.
Sure.
Well, and some of them put a different name on there, but still they put themselves out there, their product, their words, their thoughts, and I hope for the best.
Yeah.
some of them, you actually have to study to do that.
Certainly.
You have to learn. Yes.
Learning the craft, learning not just the process, but learning to love the process. Because I'm sure you can attest, it's a long journey, this authorhood thing. It's a long journey. It's a marathon mindset. And there's an old adage, I believe it's an African proverb of, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together.
I love it. I do. I really like that. That's good. Thank you. I may actually use that.
No, please. I didn't come up with it.
You gave it to me. That's good. So you have more than one book.
Yes. It was very important to me to begin with the end in mind. So I wrote the entirety of the Eventual Realm trilogy before I published book one. Yes.
That's gutsy.
Well, I had a traditional publishing offer in hand for book one. This is December of 2020. I had a contract in hand, offer of representation. They want to publish the book. It was a small press that I had met at a virtual conference, and there had been like a courting period, and things advanced, things moved forward, but I'm standing there with it in hand and I'm going, this doesn't feel right for me. And I think the big thing was, it had taken me 6 years to have book one in a position where I felt like this is it. Like this is how I want to, because I didn't see it as like I'm publishing a book. It's my entry into a whole new field. I'm starting this business. I'm starting a career. And I want to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward. But then the contract was, okay, well, we need book two within a year, so that it'll take another year to kind of go through. So
it takes a couple of years.
A couple of years. So we want you to have it written in a year. And this story there's 7 point of view characters with intermeshing timelines and intermeshing. It's a lot of intrigue and politics and a lot of systems at play, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this in a year.
Do it, yeah.
And that became, because I work full time. I own my own fitness business, so it was daunting having that deadline. And then I was like, well, what if I have to write book two, but meanwhile they're marketing book one and it's not going well? What is that going to do from a mental health standpoint? What is that going to do? So I wanted to, I said, thank you, but this feels like I want to write the whole series, and then maybe I'll come back to you. And so, funny enough, once I made that decision, I wrote book two, beginning to end, 180,000 words, very clean first draft.
180,000 words.
Yes, in 3 months. 3 months.
Oh my God.
And it flew, and once again, working full time. It wasn't like I just stopped my day job to do that. And it was the fastest I'd ever written. I owe that to, I think I found my process a little bit. I think I found an empowerment turning down that contract and saying, this isn't how I want to go about doing things. Yeah. So that felt really good. And then what did I do after that? I spent another month planning out book 3. Like I knew where I wanted to go, but it was just a matter of massaging the details into place. And then I wrote book 3, 180,000 words in 3 months. So but then the first thing I did, and once I had finished, I went back to book 1. And I was like, now that I know the ending, I can massage things. I can put things in place. I can insert, the little details, the little foreshadowing, the Easter eggs. So now it creates this whole opportunity for rereads. So readers who might not pick up something on the first time, once they have the context and come back through.
That makes sense. Oh, I get it, because I remember. Yeah, I like that very much.
So it's very much been a journey, but
an epic journey.
Epic indeed.
That is a lot of words. It's but now the genre of it is
epic fantasy.
Just epic fantasy.
Yeah, epic fantasy. That's it. It's kind of a blend of the quick pitch is imagine fantasy Spartacus. So the rebellion from Rome. That was the first story seed that I was like, I want to tell that story, that concept of what does it mean to be free? What is liberty? And how does that kind of look like from different perspectives? So there's a gladiator slave that's fighting for the freedom of his people, but meanwhile there is a queen who feels like she's almost enslaved to this other higher power, this even a queen feels enslaved to something, and that became like the tagline: everyone's enslaved to something. So
there is no top of the hill.
Yeah, you just you think you've reached the top. Well, there's another summit. It just turns.
That's right, exactly.
Always a new horizon. So, fantasy Spartacus meets this kind of Game of Thronesy, a lot of politics, a lot of history and cultures coming together. And then I wanted to play with mythology. I wanted to have my own pantheon of gods.
Good twist in there.
And the gods, very in Greco-Roman myth, the gods are very much, they come down and they mess everything up for us, right? So I wanted gods that were, absolutely. I wanted gods that were interactive and on a tangible level. It's not a matter of do you believe or do you not believe. It's like
faith issue.
It's which one do you trust. And I thought all of those 3 things coming together, it was epic indeed.
No, it's amazing, and the fact that you produce that much that fast. Sometimes though, I do recognize when you get in that flow, it flows, and it's hard to even stop it. It is just, I just put in 10 hours writing. Do I have to stop already?
Yeah.
Because it happens. They create themselves. It's a lot of work to get to there, but once that starts to happen,
snowballs.
It just snowballs and goes. And do you do outlines, or do you have it pretty well set up ahead of time?
I'm a huge plotter. If you can imagine having 7 intertwining...
That is not plodding when you do 180,000 words in 3 months. That is not plodding.
T's, not D's.
Plotting, maybe, but not plodding.
No, nothing plodding along, but the plotting, everything from... I do a lot of world building beforehand. I believe you have to know the system of, what is enforcing the status quo of the story. Because if you don't have that, then characters have nothing to really push against. They have nothing to challenge. Very often we hear the protagonist, right? I don't love the term protagonist because I think it doesn't embody what the character needs to do. So I use the word challenger.
Okay.
So the challenger has to push
because they have to have a challenge, or you've got no story.
If there's nothing for them to overcome.
If everything's flowing good and everything's smooth and nothing happens, it's a boring story. Sorry, life may be nice, but it's boring.
The smooth sailing does not exist.
That's right. It's not in the storylines. No.
This
so you
genre.
have to have a challenge. You bet.
So having 7 different POV characters, 7 different protagonists, challengers, I needed to have a very well-designed world for them to engage with and push against. I wanted the world to be a character in and of itself. So I call that my plotting phase, my planning phase. So the world building, yes. Character arcs, yes. Each individual character, I wanted to take them on their own individual internal journey. But then if I understand that this is the change I want to see in this character, what external events are they going to need to go through in order to have those level up moments? So this wasn't the first go around. I worked with a developmental editor who was instrumental in helping me to kind of piece all this together. That's why the first book took me so long. But then I was able to go, okay, now I think I understand how to do this from the beginning. Started that way, and that allowed books 2 and 3 to fly. But yes, a lot of chapter by chapter outlines. I find if I know where I'm going, then my brain is able to go and think like more in the details. If I'm trying to figure out where the story's going, I can't be like first draft thinking about theme, thinking about subtext, thinking about like the symbolism and the imagery that I really want to have connection. Because I think the whole point of writing is connection.
Absolutely.
Connecting with the reader, and
the reader has to connect with you.
And
so
connect
they're
to the story.
Part of
yeah,
the story.
Very much so.
They may even take the point of the protagonist to be there with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's when you're really in a story. It's like you see it. It's you don't even see the words anymore because you're part of the story. And when you can write like that, you've got your audience.
Yeah.
And they'll be back because they get to be part of that. So that's amazing. And obviously you do good. You're a finalist in this, so I hope it goes well tonight.
I hope so too, thank you.
And I expect to see more of you. And gosh, so how many, is this a trilogy?
Yes, completed trilogy.
A completed trilogy.
I need to. I feel that it's important to specify that because there's as an epic fantasy fan, there's 2 very prolific epic fantasy
Actually,
authors.
what he really meant was he has a 3-book library, an encyclopedia of happenings.
It is almost 500,000 words when you add them all together.
Wow. But on the other hand, when you buy the book, you've got this whole. You got to read for. You've got your storyline, your evening set out. That's good.
A couple evenings. A couple.
Yeah, a couple of evenings.
One person who responded on social media the day I had released book 1, like, wow, this was great. And I was like, what do you mean was?
No kidding.
What do you mean was?
You couldn't possibly.
And
well, some people can.
Before I wrote, I read differently. And now
that is
my
very
author
true.
brain
Very true.
reads differently.
In fact, it's almost hard to read a story just for enjoyment because I'm editing their work the whole time. And the better the writer is, the less editing I end up doing, so the better I enjoy the story. That's a trick of the trade.
You know what though? I would say even because I less editing, more analyzing. I find myself the better it is, I get sucked into, well, why is this working so well?
Yes.
What makes this so good that I can't stop?
Then I have to analyze that and say, okay, why this is really good. How can I get my stuff like this? What can I pick up? Those kind of tricks. That thing for authors and writers. You probably know, because this is Author in the Headlights is for readers and writers. Readers, so you know what you want to read next, and writers, so that you can pick up those little bits of information that make yours better, polished.
Yeah, and polish is the best word for it.
Absolutely.
Because it's never done.
That's right.
The tinkering, I'm sure you can relate, right? Like, if you
I hate to go back to my own stuff because I want to change everything. I'm on my 5th revision.
It's a dangerous
That's not
game.
correcting problems. That is just making it better.
I call it trading cool for cool.
Well, we are going to have you on Author in the Headlights, of course, but DermanPublishing.com. Your books will be there because you sat in on an interview with us here, and they sponsor Author in the Headlights. So your books will be there with links to wherever they're sold.
Excellent.
And
love that.
So thank you for spending your
Thank
time
you
with
so
us.
much. I
know you've got
appreciate it.
an entire conference to go into, and like I said, I stole him out of the hallways, and he was working on other things. And I said, we got to talk.
Time well spent. So thank you for having me.
You bet. So until next time, I'm Strider, your host here at Author in the Headlights, and we'll see you again. Sponsored by DurhamandPublishing.com.